Hello guys and welcome to my new video. Today I'm going to be covering Resto Druid best legendaries for 5-man content. So I previously done best legendaries for raid content for Resto Druid. Because the video took about 10 minutes, I decided to basically split it in two. So this video is going to cover the 5-man aspects of best legendaries for Restoration Druid. So if you have all of the legendaries, or if you have few of the legendaries and you're wondering which one you should be using for 5-man content, this video is going to be for you. I'm going to be covering all the legendaries, I'll mention all of them and I'll rank them in an order that I feel personally is appropriate. Because of 5-man content is highly dependable on the people that you play with, especially tanks, because about 2 or 3 legendaries will depend on basically how much damage your tank is going to take. If you're playing with some really good players, really good tanks, you probably won't have to use those legendaries because they won't be taking too much damage because they'll use their cooldowns properly. But if you're doing a pug, you're not sure if the tank is good, you might want to specialize in these specific legendaries, which will improve your tank healing massively. So let's just go to the first 2 legendaries that you should be using. This is the list of top tier legendaries. Prydaz, which is the neck, shoulders and the trinket. If you have any of the following legendaries, then you are basically set for 5-man content. And why do I think that they're the best? First of all, let's cover the neck. The neck provides awesome stats. First of all, it provides really good stats after changes in 7.2. Second, it gives you shield, a massive shield every 30 seconds. For me, it equates to about 1 million HP. By default, I have 4 million HP because of high item level and high stamina. Therefore, I get equivalent of 5 million HP while doing any 5-man content, which means I won't die as quickly. Or if you do massively high mythic plus 15 and upwards, it means that some of the tyrannical bosses, some of the fortified adds can actually one-shot you. There are some abilities that can actually one-shot you. And with this neck, it's 99% of the cases you won't get killed, and therefore by not the best kind of HPS increase is being alive. So that's why when you do really high content, I would advise you to use Prydaz. For anything lower, you probably won't have to use it, but it gives you really nice stats and it gives you that survivability that you can just stand in the fire and just heal for those extra few seconds and just don't worry about dying because you know the shield is awesome. That's why Prydaz is actually one of the top tiers. Second is the shoulders. Shoulders have been massively boosted in 7.2. They are the best for 5-mans as well, because you can just basically pre-hard everyone with rejuvenations and just sit back and let the shoulders extend the duration. You can do other things, you can DPS, you can do regrowths, you can do wild goals and things like that. You just don't have to worry that much about the rejuvenations. And for really tough mythic fights where mana is actually an issue, so we're talking about something 20 plus tyrannical bosses where there's constant damage. So I recently done Karazhan 21 tyrannical, or lower Karazhan 21 tyrannical, and Morrows is constant AoE damage, a very long fight, and basically there's a high chance of you running out of mana. With the shoulders, you can actually kind of relax about that. If you heal up the people, the rejuvenation will extend and things like that. There are way better examples than this, but shoulders gives you that. It just gives you that extra time to do everything else. It's really, really, really strong right now. And the third one is the Legendary Trinket. The Legendary Trinket by itself gives you amazing stats. Considering how bad other trinkets are in the game right now, this is the best trinket right now for Resto Druids. Not only gives you awesome stats, it also gives you a nice secondary effect which increases your healing and also applies the overhealing that you do to the next 3 targets. The amazing thing about this is that if you actually need that burst healing, let's say you're doing bursting, someone gets 7-8 stacks, everyone gets 7 or 8 stacks, you know there's going to be a massive incoming damage, you pop balance, and then you just go wild growth, and then everyone heals up because you have that extra 15% increased healing. It's very good for that. Now, my top 2 would probably be the neck and the shoulders, because if you have high item level, trinket won't be as good for you because you're already doing nice healing. You don't really need that boost in healing. You already have those item levels. You already got that mastery stacked up. You won't need the trinket. And you'll just need the survivability from Prydaz and convenience that shoulders provide you. Now, if you are a lower item level, anything below 900, you probably will need those extra stats. You probably will need that extra 15% healing. So if you feel that your group is just not getting enough heals, if you feel like you just can't top up your tank, maybe the trinket is probably going to be the best choice for you. Now, if you go down to the lower tier, just below those, I would say is the newly and improved waste, which increases your life bloom effect, and also has a 5% bloom chance and things like that. Now, this is a very easy legendary to use. You just have to basically have to place life bloom on your tank. You would use this if you know the tank is going to be taking massive damage. If you don't know if the tank is that good, if you're pugging or whatever, this will actually give you very decent amount of healing. Now, it probably will go into overhealing. A lot of it might go into healing. Remember that you can activate the bloom effect of life bloom by basically casting life bloom again before 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds if you want to be exact. Before 4.5 seconds, the life bloom is about to expire. You can see the tank is actually dipping 50% below HP. There's still 2 seconds left on life bloom. Just click life bloom again and the tank will go up to 4. So this is just a really nice passive effect. From my personal experience, running this legendary in 5-mans, you won't be healing your tank at all. You literally just place life bloom and you place life bloom in your germinations and your rejuvenations, and you just leave them and just like, off you go tank, just do whatever you want, pull the whole thing, it's fine. That's what my personal experience is. I just leave it be, and the life bloom effect actually is one like top 3 heals or top 5 heals in my on my meters, which is quite incredible. So I actually found this to be very strong. I wasn't expecting to be this strong, but actually it works quite well. So the tier below that would be actually, I placed a lot of legendaries in here because they're highly dependent on your group. So I placed the wrists, chest, gloves, and Sephuz. Now let's just go a little by little by the legendaries that are here. So wrist is quite good. Again, wrist and waist are all dependent of how you feel about your tank. If you like the tank, if you think the tank is gonna use the cooldowns well, you probably won't need these. You probably won't need the wrist or waist. If you feel the tank is probably getting hammered too much, you'll probably want to get the wrist. The wrist extends situational scenario ward. So by selecting wrist, you have to choose scenario ward. This is a mandatory talent for it. So you can place all your hots, rejuvenations, life blooms, scenario ward in your tank, and when you see they're about to run out, mainly if you want to see if the scenario ward is about to run out, you just press that swift mend and they get an increased duration. The problem with that is that, what if the tank is full HP and your scenario ward is about to run out and you're about to use swift mend, one of your best instant cast heals, on someone who doesn't need it? It goes into overheal, it extends its duration. Okay, great, but I've just wasted like a lot on just that. Now, in a lot of cases, this might be useful if there's constant damage. If the tank is getting hurt a lot, this probably won't happen. If the tank is a good tank, I'm not saying a good tank equals someone who doesn't take damage, because a lot of tanks these days actually spec into DPS and do more DPS. So you just need to make sure, you just ask your tank, are you going DPS? Are you going more DPS oriented build, or you want to be survivability? And then you kind of know what kind of legendaries you want to do. It's a very good question to ask before you actually join folks these days. So the chest by itself, you don't really look at the secondary effect. Like, I mean, movement speed, if you go into the kitty, like, I mean, it's not too good, but it's just the stats. It's pure stats. It's awesome stats. And in this expansion, it's all about them stats, boys. So if you are not really even balanced, if your mastery is not really high, this might be like, it'll give you passively nice increase in healing. Nothing to be sniffed at. This is actually probably, this will probably be along the, I could put it a tier above with the waist, but it's really situational. Then you have the gloves, which not a lot of people are using, but I think you can actually utilize it. So this is something that reduces your iron bag to 48 seconds and all your rejuvenations go into the iron bag target. This actually can be really nice, especially for higher mythics, where no matter how good your tank is, they're gonna be taking some damage. And 48 seconds is really not a lot. So you can actually use this as a really oh crap moment button, but it's going to be up in the next minute. So it's the availability really makes it good. You have to know how to use it properly. That is the biggest deal. That's why gloves are unutilized in this expansion, at least, or this patch. I think it's perfectly viable. If you know what you're doing, you can make good use out of this. Sephuz, again, it's another kind of like a DPS increase for you. The problem is Sephuz is the activation. You activate it by dispelling targets or using roots and things like that. You can actually use a specific talent to activate it within the Druid tree instead of a Typhoon. Now the problem is activating it during bosses. You probably won't proc during bosses, you probably can interrupt it. Again, probably not the best one to use in Pogs, because if there's someone who's gonna interrupt instead of, if someone gonna interrupt instead of you, someone's going to maybe dispel without you, like Shadow Priest or things like that, you won't proc your Sephuz. You just need to know how to appropriately activate it, and activate it enough, because you get a nice 30% haste, which also helps with your DPS. So you need to know how to activate it. Once you know how to properly activate it, you can actually really make a good use out of Sephuz. But you need to be kind of pro at doing it, and you need to know the exact bosses that could be dispelled, etc. So it involves a lot of work. It's not like the Waste where you just put Light Bloom and that's it. This actually involves some thinking. So that's why I didn't place it in one of the top tiers. And then after that, you got the legendaries that I would consider pretty bad for 5-man. So you got the Tearstone. Again, Tearstone is very, very viable in raids. It used to be the best legendary. But the point is, the extra rejuvenation that it places while using Wild Growth, it's not really needed in 5-man. You can just hot up everyone so easy. If you have the shoulders, you don't even have to worry about reapplying rejuvenation in the next half a minute. You don't a minute if you're deep rooted procs. So you don't like with shoulders. Tearstone is basically the much worse version of shoulders. So I would really not use it in 5-man. In raids it's pretty good, but in 5-man definitely not the best one. And again, the last one I would consider, which is absolute garbage for 5-mans, I would say is the boots, which increases your tranquility healing for targets below 60%. Again, how many times do you actually use tranquility? It is based on affixes you have. If you have things like bursting grievous, you probably will use tranquility quite often, and in those cases it might be viable. But the point is, 99% of the time it won't be viable. You won't use tranquility enough for it to be viable. People might not drop below. Now there are cases, like my example, when we did 21 lower Karzan, Maiden of Virtue, where the damage was so insane for the whole group, the normal tranquility with rejuvenations could not heal up the targets, and actually using the boots helped us, because we were constantly dipping below 35% health, not even talking about 60%. We're constantly dipping to the edge, and these boots actually made it so that we could actually go up a bit instead of being a negative health to heal ratio. So there are specific cases where you can use boots, but 99% of the dungeons you're going to be doing, it's not going to be worth it. So this is hopefully a short little overview of some of the best legendaries for 5-man content as a Restoration Druid. Let me know if you feel different. Let me know if you found a different combination. Let me know how you deal with the legendaries and how you feel about the legendary system as well. I like to hear your thoughts on any of these topics. And thank you for watching this guide, and I'll see you in my next video.